Hello, and welcome. Now, today I'm going to be talking about how to harness the law of reciprocity, especially when it pertains to networking and PR. Now, before I continue, in case you're unfamiliar with me, perhaps we've never met before, this is your first time coming across me, I'm going to quickly introduce myself, okay? So, my name is Nina Dafe, and I'm the founder and the editor of the FarAboveRubiesCollection.com, where I help women in business to build and leverage profitable relationships through networking and PR. Okay, now in my last few videos I talked a lot about the importance of knowing your why and how that is really the foundation of all of your networking and PR efforts. A lot of the points that I gave to do with that were also much more focused on you, right? So knowing your mission and vision will keep you going when the going gets tough, right? Because you've got your why to hold on to even when your circumstances say to give up. The other thing about your why is that it acts like a lighthouse or a compass, and it really guides you in terms of knowing who then you should be spending your time with, where you should be spending your time, where you should be focusing your efforts, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing. As much as it's great for you, as I said, the focus in that sense is very much on you. The problem with that is that if we're talking about profitable business relationships, for example, with your ideal clients, for example, with people that you might want to collaborate with, brands, the influencers who run particular platforms that you might want to pitch to. Unfortunately, and I hate to bust your bubble, sis, but nobody else cares about your why as strongly as you do, all right? When people come across you, when you are pitching, when you are trying to sell, no matter what, human nature dictates that the people that you come up against are automatically going to be asking themselves, what's in it for me? All right. And so the way to kind of get past that and to get people to care about your why is to harness the law of reciprocity. Now, if we look at the dictionary definition of the word reciprocity, what it actually means is a mutual exchange. And so if you go back to videos that I've done before, such as what not to do if you want to network successfully, I talk a lot about that. The importance of really making sure that if you're building a profitable relationship, a business relationship, then you really want to look at it as making friends. We all know that good, positive, healthy relationships or friendships are not one-sided. It's not one person always getting what they want or one person always feeling fulfilled at the expense of another person. And so that's what reciprocity dictates in business relationships also. It has to be mutually beneficial, right? Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. And while you're doing that, I'm going to continue, and obviously I'll circle back, as I always do, to answer any comments or questions that you might have, okay? So recently, as you know, if you've been rocking with me for a while, I have been studying Zipporah. And Zipporah in the Bible was Moses' wife, right? And you see the law of reciprocity really well demonstrated and illustrated in their relationship, particularly at the beginning. So we all know Moses as like the savior of Israel, delivering them from the Egyptians and out of slavery, and basically helping them to establish their own nation, right, with God as the head and as the sovereign. But before that, he was the prince of Egypt. And when he kind of had this awakening about the fact that, his origins were Hebrew, his outrage, at the state of slavery caused him to handle it in the wrong way. And so he ended up killing an Egyptian who was abusing one of his Hebrew brothers or sisters, right? He does that, realizes that people are starting to find out about it, and so he goes on the run. He runs away to Midian, which is where Zipporah and her family are from. When he gets there, he notices that 7 women 6 of them being Zipporah's sisters, including herself, are being harassed by some men as they're trying to draw out water, and they're being stopped, right? And so he defends them. They go back to their father, Jethro, and Jethro is like, oh my gosh, you're back early. Why is that? They explain that some guy who they think is an Egyptian basically stood up for them. And he says, well, if he's done this great thing for, you know, my daughters, then he's essentially done it for me. And so we should repay him. Go find him. Bring him here. We're going to break bread with him. We're going to feed him, have dinner. And basically Moses was that guest who you invite for dinner, you know, to stay for 1 or 2 days and just never leaves, right? So he stays in Midian and actually, you know, off this foundation, this basis of being an asset to the family, right? He actually ends up marrying Zipporah. And as you can imagine, in their relationship, they continue to sow into each other. They've got this mutually beneficial, I guess, rapport going on. And so when Moses is actually called then by God to go back to Egypt and save his people, Zipporah willingly also uproots their children and goes with him. But it all started because Moses, you know, instead of just kind of thinking about himself, like this guy was a fugitive and really would have every right to be self-centered, but he saw their plight, he saw that he needed help, that they needed help, and so he stepped in. And applying that to us as modern women, right? Modern women who are in business, especially as believers, that's how we need to be. We can't just think about our why and what it is that we feel that we want to achieve in terms of our vision, and as soon as we're meeting people at networking events or approaching influencers, we're going straight in with our why and what it is that we want to achieve and this, that, and the other. That doesn't appeal to your ideal clients or potential collaborators, okay? So we have to have a Moses and Zipporah type of mentality where even if we might be in need, right, we are thinking and focusing on other people, not our why, but theirs, right? At the end of the day, you know, with Zipporah and her family, they probably weren't just, you know, gathering the water for themselves. You know, we know that back in the Bible days, they had a very pastoral or agricultural type of culture. So they were probably also gathering water for their sheep, for their herds, for their animals, which would have also then maybe gone into their livelihood, the food for their family, etc., etc. It was deeper than them just going to get water, right? This was actually, you know, what was going to keep the family and sustain them, right? Moses saw that. That's why he helped. And that's the same way that we need to be. When you are networking, when you are looking for PR opportunities, when you are looking for collaborations, don't go in, excuse me, with your why, but try to build a friendship to the point where you understand the other person's point of view, what their why is, what it is that they want to achieve, so that when you are going for your ask, and when you are trying to basically communicate what it is that you want to do, you put their why at the forefront. And as you continue to sow into people, for people who have a strong moral compass, for people who, you know, also lead with kindness, they're going to see that, and automatically the question that you are going to get is, well, how can I help you? What do you need from me? And that also is great because it takes the awkwardness a lot of the time out of you having to find ways to ask. Because if you give to people enough and you sow into them enough and you make those deposits enough, then eventually you are going to be able to make your withdrawals through your ask. But if you don't sow into people, and if you haven't been an asset like Moses was to Zipporah and vice versa, then you really have no right to ask. And that goes for your ideal clients, that goes for potential collaborators, any kind of business relationship, okay? So I really hope that that makes sense. I really hope that that's useful useful to you, let me know in the comments. And until next time, you take care, and I'll be back again soon. Bye.